Hi, I'm Jeannie Wisniewski. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner. Thanks for joining me today as we continue to talk about breast cancer and what we can do to reduce our risk. Today specifically, we're going to be talking about exercise and how exercise alone can reduce our risk of breast cancer. And if you're a breast cancer survivor, it reduces your risk of recurrence. So how can exercise decrease our risk? And first and foremost, exercise alone reduces your blood serum levels of both estrogen and insulin. Estrogen and insulin are two hormones that in your blood, if those levels are high, you have an increased risk for breast cancer. So exercise lowers those, so naturally it reduces your risk for breast cancer. Exercise also helps us to burn fat. Fat cells not only store estrogen, but they have a very small production of estrogen. So by exercising, we are getting rid of fat cells and therefore lowering the amount of estrogen our body holds, both men and women. So when I work with private clients, and my clients will experience a 10 or 20 or 30 pound weight loss, women who thought they were in menopause because of the extra estrogen that's released as they are burning all that fat will suddenly experience a period. That's how much estrogen can be stored in fat. So decreasing our amount of fat decreases our risk for breast cancer. Obesity alone, so a BMI over 25, you are overweight, and then as it increases, you become obese. Obesity increases our risk for breast cancer. So a good body mass composition is necessary for lowering our risk for breast cancer. Another thing that exercise does is that it helps to reduce your stress. Chronic stress has been associated with an increased risk of breast cancer. There was a study done at Stanford University, looked specifically at cortisol levels and breast cancer outcome. Women who had irregular cortisol levels due to chronic stress had a much worse outcome or a higher mortality rate. High levels of cortisol are associated with an increased risk of breast cancer. A great way to reduce stress, my drug of choice, if you will, for stress reduction is exercise. That being said, we don't want to become over exercisers, too much exercise. So if you are an uber elite athlete, you train for marathons, you have to take care that you are doing something to help release or reduce the amount of inflammation your body is creating. So my daughter runs half marathons, having friends who do marathons. There is a huge recovery period after that because your body, that's a huge stress that your body is under, and your body creates a large amount of inflammation. High inflammation is associated with breast cancer. So we want to exercise, but not over exercise. Exercise also builds our immune system. A depleted immune system increases your risk for breast cancer. So by exercise, it can increase your number of natural killer cells. Natural killer cells are something that takes a cell that begins to grow irregularly, or a precancerous cell, and gets rid of it, removes it from the body. High levels of cortisol lower your natural killer cells. So exercise builds our immune system, lowers our levels of cortisol, lowers our levels of estrogen, and lowers our levels of fat. All of those things work synergistically to lower our risk of an initial breast cancer diagnosis, or if you're a breast cancer survivor, it actually lowers your risk for recurrence. So when we say exercise, what does exercise look like? Because I'll have people tell me, oh, well, I am parking further away in the parking lot. I take the stairs instead of the elevator. And those are great. Those are great, increasing your physical activity, burns a couple more calories. That is awesome. Continue to do that. However, that is not exercise. In all of these studies where we see this reduced risk for breast cancer, exercise looks like this. It needs to be at least 30 minutes a day, and you need to be in your target heart range. What is a target heart range? So you take 220 and subtract your age, and that's your maximum heart rate. You don't want to go above that. So for me at 51, 220, take away 51, my maximum heart rate that I should not exceed is 169. For all of these studies, it was a moderate to vigorous exercise. So moderate to vigorous exercise is your maximum heart rate multiplied by 0.65, so 65%, or 0.85, 85%. So 65 to 85% for me, 169, would be I need to exercise between 110, which is really low, and 144. And that gives me a moderate to vigorous exercise. I can go all the way up to 169, but I don't want to exceed 169. I'll include all these studies and I'll include how to figure out your target heart range in the post below so that you can start to figure that out so that when you're exercising that you know that you are in your target heart range. We're shooting for 30 minutes a day. All of these studies looked at 3 to 7 hours of exercise a week. So 30 to 60 minutes a day, every day if you can, most days is your goal. If you've never exercised a day in your life, I want you just to start with 5 minutes. I want you to go on a 5-minute walk. If you have a heart rate monitor, perfect. If you don't, here's what I want you to look for. You're just gonna look for how you feel. I want you to be breathy, so I want you to be breathing hard, but you should be able to talk still. If you are breathing so hard that you can't talk, you need to slow down. If you can talk this easily as I'm talking right now, you need to speed up. So be able to talk, but you should not be able to sing. If you're listening to music and you're singing along, you're holding a note, you're not going fast enough. Best case scenario, get a heart rate monitor. If not, make sure you're breathy enough to talk, but not breathy enough to sing. And then technically you're in your target heart range. Start with your 5 minutes a day. The next week, 10. The next week, 15. And keep building that up until you're at 30 minutes a day. Once 30 minutes a day is easy, then start adding in more. And majority of your days, women, we tend to be, and this is stereotypical, but we tend to be more comfortable with cardio work. So with walking, jogging, stair climber, cycling, or the stationary bike, we're not necessarily as comfortable with resistance training. It is incredibly important that as women, we start to use resistance training, weight training, whether that's just your body weight or you're using weight, particularly as you get older. The majority of risk starts to come for breast cancer with women as you hit perimenopause and menopause. This is a time where your metabolism is going to slow down. You can easily put on 2 to 5 pounds a year, and over a period of 5 to 10 years, that's a substantial weight gain. And remember, that extra weight gain, that extra fat gain, what that does is increase your risk for breast cancer. So how do we counter that? Because our estrogen levels are naturally dropping, which technically should lower our risk. However, as our weight increases, that raises our risk. So because of your lowered estrogen, you're gonna have a lower basal metabolic rate. How do I increase that? By building muscle. And you build muscle by resistance training. I am healthier now at 51 than I was at 41. If I can do it, you can do it. How do you do it? You start just by walking, and you're gonna build your way up. Hire a personal trainer if you don't know what you're doing. I work with a personal trainer twice a week. I am a personal trainer, but I do work with someone else as well. Incorporate help. There are tons of things online. Videos you can do at home if you're not comfortable going to a gym. Great things you can do outside. Get some vitamin D. Start just by being active and then increase your 5 minutes a day up to 30 minutes a day. Incorporate help of friends. You are so much less likely to cancel on a friend if you are supposed to meet someone to go walking or you're supposed to meet someone for a class. You're not going to cancel on them as easily as you would cancel on yourself. So hold yourself accountable by getting a buddy that you're going to work out with, by hiring a trainer that you have to pay. It keeps you very accountable. Set goals. These are things that we're not going to just do for a month or two during the month of October, but you want to incorporate for a lifestyle. As good as exercise is in decreasing your risk for breast cancer, if you stop exercising very quickly, those decreased risks go away. All of the gains go away when you stop exercising. So it can't be a hit or miss thing. It needs to be a lifestyle change. Make it something that is your time, something that you enjoy. Make a great playlist so you enjoy it. Make it a time where you're meeting a friend. Do something to incentivize yourself to make this your healthiest year, your lifestyle change, so that you can be your healthiest you and enjoy those gains that you have. You feel better, you look better, you have more energy, you can take care of the people you love better. All of these things are for your benefit, and that the best cure to cancer is prevention. So do what you can. Nothing takes your risks 100% away, but there are plenty of things we can do to reduce our risk. We talked about eating last week, exercise this week. Next week, we're going to talk about some lifestyle choices. So I look forward to seeing you then. We'll post some other fun exercises that you can do. And I hope your week is great. It's crazy rainy here in Austin, but I've been going to the gym, working out a little bit here at home. And I hope that you get to get outside, and wherever you choose to exercise, I hope that this week starts your week of a lifestyle of exercise. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me.